My professor failed my final project in front of the entire class. 2 days later, he was standing outside my apartment asking for forgiveness. The entire classroom went silent when my professor held up my final project and said, "This is the worst submission I've seen all semester." My heart instantly started pounding. 30 pairs of eyes turned toward me as he dropped my portfolio onto the desk. I'd spent 4 months designing that project, sleeping barely 4 hours a night, while working evening shifts at a bookstore just to afford tuition. I felt my face growing hot with embarrassment. Then he looked directly at me and added, "Either you copied this from someone else, or you have absolutely no talent." I actually gasped. My hands were trembling. I wanted to defend myself, but the words wouldn't come out. I quietly gathered my things and walked out while a few classmates awkwardly looked away. By the time I reached my car, I was already crying. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every second of what had happened. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. It was an email from another student in my class named Lily. The subject line simply read, "You need to see this?" My heart skipped a beat as I opened the attachment. It was a screen recording showing another student secretly accessing the professor's grading system while he had briefly left his office. The student changed the names attached to 2 final projects, swapping mine with hers. Suddenly, everything made sense. The project my professor had criticized wasn't mine at all. My entire body froze. I immediately emailed the recording to the university's academic integrity office. The next morning, I was called into an emergency meeting with the department chair, the dean, and my professor. The room felt unbelievably tense. The chair played the security footage and the screen recording side by side. Nobody spoke. The student responsible finally burst into tears and admitted she'd switched our names because she knew my project would receive the highest grade. She thought failing me would improve her chances of winning a prestigious internship. My professor slowly turned toward me, his face completely pale. "I publicly humiliated an innocent student," he whispered. I stayed silent. There wasn't anything left to say. 2 days later, someone knocked on my apartment door. I opened it, and my entire body froze. Standing there was my professor, holding my repaired portfolio and a handwritten letter. His eyes were filled with regret. "I shouldn't have judged you before checking the facts," he said quietly. "I spent 25 years telling students to value honesty, and I failed to practice it myself." My heart was still hurting, but I could see he genuinely meant every word. He handed me the letter. Inside was a formal apology, a recommendation for the internship, and confirmation that my original project had received the highest score in the class. A month later, I accepted the internship I'd dreamed about since my first year of college. At the end of semester awards ceremony, my professor stepped onto the stage before announcing the winners. He looked directly at the audience and said, "Before we begin, I owe someone an apology." The entire hall became dead. Silence. In front of hundreds of students and faculty members, he publicly admitted his mistake and recognized my work for what it truly was. When my name was called for the top project award, the room erupted into applause. As I walked across the stage, I realized something I'd never forget. A false accusation can damage your reputation in minutes, but the truth, when it finally arrives, has a way of making the loudest statement of all. As I walked back to my apartment that evening, my phone buzzed with a campus-wide email from the dean. My heart skipped a beat as I opened it. The university had officially announced new grading policies, requiring every final project to be independently verified before public criticism or academic penalties could be issued. Several classmates messaged me privately, admitting they should have spoken up that day, but were too afraid to challenge the professor. Reading those messages didn't erase the humiliation I'd felt, but it reminded me that sometimes one person's painful experience becomes the reason everyone else is treated more fairly in the future. If someone publicly accused you of cheating without proof, would you accept their apology after the truth came out? Yes, no.